So friends, let's start with today's croquettes recipe. Now here I have about 18 peppercorns, 1 inch of cinnamon and 5 cloves. So these are our whole spices. I'm going to lightly roast them on in my pan just for about 1 minute till you get the lovely aroma of these lovely whole spices. Then I'm going to grind them in my mortar and pestle. You could also grind them in your mixer pot to a very fine powder. Once that is done, just set it aside. Now we're going to use 2 medium-sized onions chopped fine, 1 tomato, and uh, a- one tablespoon of ginger garlic paste, and also 2 ripe green chilies. I'm going to heat 1 tablespoon of oil in a pan, and I'm going to add the onions and fry them till they're nice and translucent. Once the onions are nice and fried, we're going to add our ginger garlic paste. So I've just taken about 1 inch of ginger and about 5 large cloves of garlic and ground them to a very fine paste. You can also use the ready-made ginger garlic paste. Next I'm going to add the light green chilies, which I've chopped fine. And then I'm going to add my 1 tomato, which I've chopped fine. So we're going to fry all of this really well. And now I'm going to cover this for about 1 minute and keep it on a low flame so that everything gets well incorporated. Now I'm going to be using 250 grams of mince as well as some salt to taste. So after about a minute, when everything is really nice and fried, we're going to add this finely ground powder that we prepared with the cinnamon, the cloves and the pepper. Mix it in well. And now we're going to add our mince. Now we're going to mix everything well with the mince, and we're going to fry the mince for at least 1 whole minute. Now you can add some salt to taste. Fry everything well. Now I've taken 1 large potato, washed it, peeled it, and just diced it into large cubes. Now after we've fried our mince well, we're going to add this potato. We're going to mix everything well, and now I'm going to cover and cook this till the potato is well cooked. So this takes about 2 minutes, and then you can just check whether your potato should be nice and soft and done. So that means your mixture is now ready. You can turn off the heat and let the mixture cool completely. Now we're going to transfer this to a mixer pot or a blender, and we're going to grind this to a very fine paste. Now I'm also going to be using some lemon juice. So I've taken the juice of 1 lemon and mix everything well, and again grind it to a very fine paste. Now we're going to transfer this paste to a large bowl. I'm also going to be using 1 egg. So I'm going to beat this egg well, and I'm going to add that to my mince. Now mix the egg also well with the mince mixture. Once that is done, I have taken 1 pav, a very fresh and soft pav, and torn it up into small pieces. You can also use bread slices. Just add that to the mixture. This will give it a nice body, and you'll be able to form the croquettes very easily. So the pav should be nice and soft and fresh, because then it just gets mashed down very easily. Alternatively, you can also add it to the mixture when you're grinding it in the mixer. Now I'm just going to add about 4 or 5 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Basically, we want a nice firm mixture which we can form our croquettes with. And now just form the croquettes like this. Roll them and keep them aside. And then we're going to shape them so that they all look, even and well shaped. So first just roughly roll them in the breadcrumbs. And I learned this technique from my dad. But just take a nice long knife like this and just, shape them, like keep rolling them in this fashion and shape them very well. They should all look nice and even with no cracks and no, breaks in the croquettes. You can make them small, you can make them long or big, the choice is yours. And then again, lightly roll them in the breadcrumbs and keep them aside. So in this way, you can make your croquettes and you can even store them in an airtight container. They last for about a week in an airtight container, refrigerated. And whenever you feel like, you can just deep fry them. You can just deep fry them whenever you feel like. So now I'm just going to deep fry them till they're nice and golden brown in color. So you can alternatively, shallow fry them, but deep frying them, you get an even coat and everything gets evenly fried. If you shallow fry them, then you'll find that, the texture is different. You won't get that lovely crunch that these croquettes are supposed to have. That is, they're supposed to be nice and crunchy on the outside and nice and soft on the inside. So when you shallow fry them, you get a very kind of a different type of a texture. You don't get that crunch. But you can shallow fry them if you don't want to deep fry them. So in this way, you can fry your croquettes as many as you like, and they're just very very delicious. They go very well with some pulao and some salad and some chicken curry at the side. It's like an ideal meal. And I've just broken up one to show it to you all, and you can see how lovely and crunchy they are on the outside and nice and soft on the inside. So I hope you like today for this chicken puff. Now I had boiled about a cup of chicken. I'm just going to shred it once it is cooled down. So I boiled it for about 5 minutes in some water. Now I've taken a pan and that I've added 1 tablespoon of butter, to that 1 tablespoon of maida. Then I'm going to add a cup of milk and I'm going to make a smooth paste. So this is a kind of a white sauce. Then I'm going to flavor it with some salt and about a teaspoon of black pepper powder. And to this I'm going to add my boiled and shredded chicken and mix everything well together. Now I'm going to transfer this mixture to a bowl and I'm going to refrigerate this for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now after our puff pastry has sat for about 20 minutes aside, as well as the filling, we're ready to make our chicken puffs. So I'm going to roll the dough as thin as possible to about just an inch of thickness, and then I'm going to take a vati and I'm going to cut some round circles like this. And then I'm going to take these molds, just butter them a bit, and then I'm going to put these rounds and press them so that we get this lovely shape of the mold. Now this dough is very elastic and very easy to work with. Now when you're making these circles, ensure that one is for the mold and one is for the covering. Now I'm just going to fill in these with the filling that we made of the chicken. And then we're just going to cover it up with the other part like this and seal it up well. Just remove any extra and you can keep that aside. We can use it for the remaining chicken puffs. And once you've done that, just take a knife and just make a crisscross like this in the center. So this is what I'm going to do with all the rest of them. Now this is a good time to preheat your oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. Put them on a tray and I'm just going to brush them with one beaten egg. I'm going to use the entire egg, the white as well as the yolk. I've just beaten it up and I've just used a silicone brush and I've just brushed the top of it. And now I'm just going to put it into my preheated oven and I'm going to bake it at 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. Now each oven is different, so just keep an eye on it. And then you'll see that you get these beautiful golden brown chicken puffs all ready. So you can get the tray out and let them cool completely before we demold them. So let them be out for about 10 to 15 minutes till they completely cool and you can actually demold them and handle them easily. And now I can easily demold them after they've completely cooled down, and you can see that even the base has nicely baked and it comes out of the mold so easily because we had buttered the mold and because they're really baked very, very well. So in this way, I've made my lovely chicken puffs. You can fill in any filling of your choice. You can go with a different type of chicken recipe. You can even add some mushroom recipe. You can use vegetables. You can do anything of your choice and make these lovely puffs. So friends, let's see today's puff pastry recipe for the chicken puffs. Now here I've taken about 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour or maida, a pinch of salt, about 2 tablespoons of clarified butter or ghee, and about 1/4 cup of water. Now I'm going to take the flour, and to that I'm going to be adding the clarified butter or the ghee, and I'm going to crumble it up till it resembles some breadcrumbs. So ensure that all of the ghee coats the maida or the all-purpose flour really well. I've also added the salt to taste. Now I'm going to add a little water at a time, and we are going to knead this to a very stiff dough. So just about 1/4 cup of water will do. And then just knead this dough for about 2 to 3 minutes till it's nice and smooth, and then we're just going to keep it aside for at least 30 minutes. Now I've taken about 1/2 cup of corn flour and 1/4 cup of clarified butter or ghee, and I'm just going to mix the two of them well together to get a very thick and smooth paste. Now our dough has been sitting for half an hour. I'm just going to divide it into 6 equal pieces and just roll them and keep them aside. Then I'm going to dust my surface and I'm going to roll out one of the pieces or the balls of the dough, keep it aside, then roll a second one. Then I'm going to apply this corn flour and ghee paste all over the second rolled out dough, and I'm going to place the first one on it and keep the two aside. I'm going to repeat this procedure in this way. So I'm going to apply the paste to the one I rolled out, and then I'm going to pick up the one which is aside, the 2 layers, and place it on this one, and then just roll it and keep it aside. So in this way I'm going to do it with all the rest of the 6 parts. Now when everything is done, I'm going to roll it out, and then I'm going to apply the remaining paste, and then I'm just going to fold it in this manner. Roll it out like this. As thin as possible. And then just fold it in. First I'm going to work on making the dough. So for that we're going to need 1 cup of flour or maida, 1/2 cup of corn flour, 1/4 cup of clarified butter or ghee, some salt to taste, and water as needed to make a nice soft and firm dough. So now I'm going to add both the flours, that is the plain flour as well as the corn flour, to a bowl. Next I'm going to add some salt to taste. I'm also going to add the ghee. And now with my fingers, I'm just going to rub the ghee into the flour really well so that we get, we coat each and every part of the flour with this ghee. So take your time with this. and just crumble it as you go. And you should be able to hold it in a like this. It should all come together like this. You should be able to hold it like this. And now we're going to add a little water at a time and make a nice firm dough. Now I used about I think 3 or 4 tablespoons of water. And once our dough is formed, we're just going to add a few drops of ghee. And again, we're going to knead this dough really well. So take your time with this, about 4 to 5 minutes. Knead the dough because we want the dough to be really nice and elastic and easy to work with. Also, the prawn puffs will come out really crispy and crunchy if you really knead the dough well. And now you should just, if you press your fingers into it, you get this kind of a dent or a mark. And now we're just going to roll the dough up and keep it aside for at least 15 to 20 minutes minimum. So while the dough is resting, let's work on making the filling. Now for the filling, we need the following ingredients. Here I have 1 cup of fresh prawns which I've deveined, washed. This is 1 medium onion, chopped fine. 1/4 cup of fresh coriander leaves, chopped fine. 1 green chili, chopped fine. This is about 6 to 7 cloves of garlic, chopped fine. 1 inch of ginger, chopped fine. And 2 teaspoons of vinegar, or you can substitute it with lemon juice. This is 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi powder, half a teaspoon of pepper powder or miri powder, and 4 to 5 fresh curry leaves that I've just chopped up fine. We also will be requiring a little salt to taste. And so now we can start making our filling. So now in a pan, I've heated about 2 teaspoons of oil. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to first add the ginger, the garlic, the green chili, and I'm going to saute these 3 ingredients really well until the rawness of the ginger and the garlic goes away and the garlic turns a little bit brown. We're going to saute it. Then I'm going to add the onion. We're going to fry the onion also very well. So if you chop everything really nicely and finely, the filling really, comes with a perfect consistency. We don't want big pieces of ginger, garlic, and onion because then when we are putting it into the dough, it does tend to, cause a problem. So better to cut it very fine. So now I'm going to add the turmeric powder, the pepper, and the curry leaves, and again saute everything really nicely for about 2 to 3 minutes till everything comes together really nicely. Now I'm going to add the prawns. Now if you want, you can even chop the prawns up into smaller bits. And now we're going to mix everything well. We want to fry the prawns and cook the prawns at this stage. So we'll fry the prawns really well. Now I'm using medium sized prawns, so I've cut them up into halves. You can also use the smaller prawns. And now when the prawns are cooked, they will actually curl up a bit and turn to a denser or a thicker white color. From a transparent color, they turn to a thicker whitish color. So we're going to saute all of this for 2 to 3 minutes. Now I'm just going to flavor it with some salt. Now I use Himalayan pink salt. It's good for health, and it is really nice to use. So I'm going to now add the chopped up coriander. Mix everything really well together. Turn off the heat after you add the coriander. After you mix everything well. And you can see that the filling has now reduced in size because everything has come together really well. And now once the flame is turned off, I'm going to add the vinegar or the lemon juice. Whatever you like to add, you can add either vinegar or the lemon juice. So our filling is ready. I'm just going to transfer it to a bowl and let it cool completely. And now is the fun part. Once our mixture is nice and cool, all we have to do is make these beautiful prawn puffs. So now I'm going to make small balls out of the dough. Just roll them between the palm of your hands. This dough is so easy to work with. It's very elastic and really nice to work with. So now I've made balls. Again, I'm going to make them into halves, as you will see. Then I'm going to apply a little bit of oil onto my rolling surface. I'm not going to add any flour because then when you're frying it, the flour gets into the oil and becomes a big mess. So just apply a little bit of oil and then just roll it out into a small little circle, just like what you would do with nyoris or karanjis. And then I'm just going to place a little bit of the filling, say a teaspoon roughly. Don't overfill it and don't underfill it either. And then I'm just going to fold it over like this. Seal the edges by pressing it down. Then I'm just going to pick it up, press the edges, and then just seal them by making this particular pattern. Now I'm doing it this way because I find that the puffs get really well sealed and there's no chance of the filling coming out. But otherwise you can also cut them like you would with a nyori or a karanji using a cutter. But I found that this was much better. So in this way I made all the puffs. Now if you want to make more, you can always double or triple the quantity of all the ingredients, depending on how many you want to make. And you can shape them in whatever way you want. And just for fun, the last one I like to make it into this little ball or potli or pouch or whatever. I couldn't think of a name. If you can think of something, let me know in the comment section below. I couldn't think of a name, but it is so cute and I didn't want to waste any of the dough, so I just made this small thing. And then now all we have to do is just deep fry them till they're nice and golden brown in color. Now alternatively you could bake these also. So for that you'll have to preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 minutes and then put a baking paper onto the tray. Then just brush this with a little oil or butter or ghee and then bake them on both sides for about 5 to 7 minutes on 180 degrees Celsius. That's it. But somehow these fried ones are more crispier, more crunchier. And just fry them and then drain them off on some kitchen napkin to drain off the excess oil. And that's it, guys. These amazing prawn puffs are all ready. Now you can also make these and freeze them. I mean, before frying them, you can freeze them for about a week or so till you want to use them, or put them in a vacuum bag and then fry them whenever needed. And our lovely Goan prawn puffs are all ready. I can't wait to dig into them. Just dip them into some ketchup or any sauce of your choice. And this is how it is inside. The filling is nice and crispy, almost like a puff pastry. So make this, guys, and let me know. So let's see today's lovely recipe of corned beef and corned beef sandwiches. Now first I'm going to prepare this simple allspice powder. So I've taken 4 cloves, half an inch of cinnamon, and I'm going to grate some nutmeg till I get half a teaspoon of nutmeg. So you get a powder like this, or you can use the ready-made nutmeg powder. And I'm going to grind these two in my mortar and pestle to a fine powder which looks like this. I'm going to mix the 3 powders together, and that's our allspice powder. And we're also going to use 1 teaspoon of pepper powder. Now I've taken 2 slices of bread, soaked it in water for about a minute and then squeezed out all the water. Next, I'm going to take 125 grams of bacon. Now I'm using chicken bacon. You can use the pork bacon, and I'm going to grind it to a mince like this. We're also going to be using 1 egg and 250 grams of mince. You can use beef mince, mutton mince. I'm using chicken mince. Now to a large mixing bowl, I'm going to add this mince or kheema. Next, I'm going to add the bacon mince, Next goes in the soaked bread. That is the bread from which we soaked it and drained out all the water or squeezed out all the water. Next, I'm going to just beat the egg lightly and add it. Next, I'm going to add the pepper powder as well as the allspice powder and some salt to taste. Now mix everything well, and at the same time keep your steamer ready. Put enough of water in the steamer because we're going to be steaming this corned beef for at least 45 minutes. So your steamer should have enough water. And then I'm going to transfer it to a vessel which fits into my steamer, which I use regularly to make my meatloaves and corned beef. I have put up a recipe for meatloaf. I will leave the link to that below, as well as to some other delicious recipes too. Now just pack it down nicely. And then we're just going to put it into our steamer, and we're going to steam this for 45 minutes on a high flame. Keep an eye on the steamer, see that the water doesn't, completely dry up. So steam it well for 45 minutes. Put a timer on your watch or on your phone. And after 45 minutes, let the the corned beef completely cool down, and then open up the steamer. And you can see that it's still hot and bubbly. And insert a knife. The knife should come out clean. That shows you that the corned beef is ready. So now let the corned beef completely cool for at least an hour. After that, we're just going to put it into our mixer jar, and we're going to grind this to a fine paste. Now I remember my mom used to make these lovely corned beef sandwiches and give them to me, in my school lunch or whenever, and it was really, really delicious. And just grind it to a fine paste like this, and your corned beef is ready. So just transfer this to an airtight container, and you can keep it in your refrigerator. And now it's time to make some lovely corned beef sandwiches. So I've taken some bread, and I'm just going to cut off the edges. You can keep the edges if you like. So using a serrated knife, I'm just going to cut off the edges or the sides of the bread. I'm going to apply some butter, very little butter. Or if you like a generous amount, you can. See that the butter is evenly spread all over. And then we're going to, add a very, very generous amount of the corned beef. And see that it goes to all the sides of the bread. Don't leave anything. You shouldn't see any white. It should just be completely corned beef. Believe me, guys, these sandwiches are so, so delicious. And you can keep this corned beef for at least, almost 2 to 3 weeks in your refrigerator in an airtight container. And once you've done that, you can just, add the other slice, buttered slice, keep it aside, and do the same with the other slice of bread. And then all you have to do is just cut it up into, whatever sizes you like, or just keep them whole like this. I like to make mini sandwiches. They look pretty, and, they look nice, and I like it that way. I like the mini sandwiches. I've also put up other sandwich recipes like coriander and coconut chutney sandwiches. I put up the rainbow sandwiches. So I'll leave all the links in the description box below. You can go there and just click on it. It will take you directly to the recipe. So I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. I hope you give it a try. I'll catch you in the next video sooner than you think. This is Akshata signing off. Take care, guys. Bye. let's start with today's recipe. Now, first, we're going to make the kheema or the mince, which is the filling or the stuffing for this pan roll. It's super simple and very, very easy. So, for that, I've used about 250 grams of chicken mince. You can use beef or mutton too. Now, this is one medium sized onion chopped. This is about a tablespoon of garlic. This is some meat masala, some ginger grated, and some Kashmiri red chili powder and some salt to taste. Now, all ingredients will be listed in the description box below. So, I've added about a tablespoon of oil to my pan, and to that, I'm going to add the onion and I'm going to fry the onion well till it becomes translucent. Next, will go in the garlic paste. I've taken about 5 large cloves of garlic and, put them in my blender and made a paste of it. So fry the garlic till all the rawness goes away. Next goes in an inch of ginger, which I've peeled and then grated very fine. Don't throw away the peel. You can put it into your tea when you're making your tea. It really adds a nice flavor. Just some tips along the way. So fry the ginger, garlic and the onion really well. Now just put in your kheema or your mince. And let the kheema nicely fry along with the onions and the ginger garlic. Now I'm going to add my meat masala. You can use any brand, and the Kashmiri red chili powder and the salt. And that's all, friends, that I do for my keema. It's really simple and yet it tastes really, really great. Now mix everything together and add about 1/4 cup of water because we want to cook the mince or the keema. And then you just cover and cook it for about 10 minutes on a low to medium flame. You can taste it at this point and see if you require some more salt or you require some more chili powder. Now I also have a recipe for keema parathas. You can go and check it out on my channel or I'll leave a link below. So now the keema is ready. Now for the pan rolls, I've just sauteed the keema a little bit till it becomes a little bit dry. So there's not much of the gravy or the liquid there. Now we're going to go to make the crepes or the pancakes which are required for this recipe. Now here I've taken about a cup of maida or all-purpose flour. To that I'm going to add a little bit of salt to taste. Next goes in about half a teaspoon of baking powder. This really makes the crepes very light. We're going to mix all the dry ingredients well with a whisk. Next goes in 1 egg. And then we're going to pour about half a cup of milk and just whisk everything and add milk as you require, maybe a little more, just to make a very thin and runny batter like you would with a pancake batter. Now I've just heated my pancake pan, just brushed it with a little bit of oil, or you could use butter too, and just take about 2 ladles full and just swirl the pan around so you get this thin pancake. And then you'll see these bubbles appearing on it and the edges also start to brown a little bit. Just flip it for about a half, for a second or so it gets fried a little bit on the other side, and then just put them on a plate so they cool a bit, and just make the remaining crepes as much as you need or as much as you want to make. So I just wanted to make just a few, so I just made about 5. We don't want to brown the pancakes or the crepes too much, so the minute the edges turn golden brown, just flip them over. And when you're putting them down on the plate, just put them the darker side down. Now these are my crepes. This is the keema ready, 1 egg which I've just beaten up roughly, and some breadcrumbs. And now we're going to start making the pan rolls. So just put the keema or the mince which we have prepared on one end like this, and then just fold it up very tightly like this and keep them aside. So if you want to make more, then you can just double up the quantity of the batter. And now these are ready. I'm just going to dip them into my beaten egg and then into the breadcrumbs. And then keep them aside. So like I said, you can refrigerate them and use them whenever you require. And then I'm just going to heat some oil in a pan and I'm going to just shallow fry them till they're nice and golden brown. And these go perfectly well with some tomato ketchup. They're just delicious.